In addition to making valleys, landscapes and endangered species vanish, the dams would produce other less visible losses. Throughout the river's course, they gradually gather minerals, organic substances and other sediments, which are transported by the water until it flows into the sea. Once there, these substances are the nutrients used by hundreds of photosynthetic organisms, such as algae and phytoplankton, which at the same time take the carbon dioxide they need for growth from the atmosphere, thereby capturing carbon and liberating oxygen. Carbon dioxide is one of the main causes of the greenhouse effect, due to which these organisms are fundamental for reducing global warming. The Bácar and Pascua rivers make a contribution to photosynthesis with their sediments over an enormous area of the ocean. The influence of these rivers reaches 180 miles into the ocean, where there is photosynthetic activity as a result of the nutrition and elements they provide to marine biodiversity. When the rivers are interrupted by a dam's wall, most of these sediments end at the bottom of the reservoir and do not make it out to sea. As a result of the absence of these fertilizers, the populations of the photosynthetic organisms are reduced, as is the amount of CO2 taken from the atmosphere. In order to justify their atmosphere as clean, Yggdrasil argues that the dams would avoid freeing 18 million tons of carbon dioxide per year, as they would render the polluting power plants unnecessary. However, they did not evaluate the carbon dioxide that would cease to be fixed were the algae and phytoplankton population numbers to decrease due to withholding sediments in the reservoirs. Our hypothesis is that the amount of carbon no longer to be fixed, as a result of the dam's impact on photosynthesis, will be greater than the carbon saved from burning carbon fuels as an alternate means of producing energy. Aside from the flooded area, all of the region's inhabitants will suffer the impact of the construction works. It is during the dam's construction period that the greatest disturbances are produced in local communities. One has to have been there to know this. The movement of trucks, the noise, the dust, the blasts, floods. They turn you into a pit. They throw you upside down during the building process. In this case, the idea is to build 5 enormous hydroelectric power plants during a period of 10 to 12 years, almost simultaneously. The social impact in the region can destroy the local culture. The area around the Bácar was populated barely a century ago, and their inhabitants maintained strong bonds with their elders' Creole traditions. Aquilino Olivares was raised on Patagonian values, and now crosses the Bácar's rushing waters with his family. Aquilino's house is on the other side, and they rush to make it before it gets dark.
En la tarde hay que regar para que la planta no se me queme con lo que es la calor. Prefiero regar en la tarde bien tarde y no en la mañana.
Aquilino lives with his wife and 3 children, cultivating a rural way of life. During the schooling year, she and the kids live in the nearby locality of Cochrane.
Algunos yuyos para tomar con mate, igual cuando enfermamos de repente para tomar.
Aquilino expects that his children will continue with this way of life in the future, but this would be very difficult were the Yggdrasil project to go through. The region's tranquility would be severely altered by the arrival of thousands of workers and huge machines that would remain in the area for over 10 years. You can imagine the enormous change that would take place. For Cochrane, for instance, for Villa O'Higgins. With the arrival of so many people, with the arrival of so much machinery and the movement there's going to be, there would be a complete turnaround. And what of the town? What of the city? What about the hospitals and the schools? What about the children? What are we going to leave them? Concerns like those of Aquilino Olivares are repeated in each one of Aysen's corners, and in some places the citizens have already spoken their minds. Caleta d'Ortel is a small village of 600 inhabitants located by the mouth of the Bácar River. Its particular architecture, with houses built on stilts and joined by pilgerodendron walkways, lead to Tortel being declared a national monument. But this heritage could be reduced to ruins in a few years. Across a territory with a 60-mile radius, Aysen will place some 3,000 workers during the construction phase of the 3 dams on the river Pascua. The companies argue that the building sites will generate new jobs in the region, but the truth of the matter is that the local population is dedicated to cattle farming and forestry, and is therefore not qualified for this kind of work. The companies would then have to bring thousands of employees from other regions in the country, with the necessary training to carry out specific jobs. But the arrival of 3,000 people, who would stay in the region for 12 years, thereby increasing Tortel's inhabitants by 500%, would mean the complete and utter destruction of this remote and picturesque Chilean village. People from another region in the country are going to come over with other cultures, other customs, and other problems come along with this progress. People bring other things, other expectations. All kinds of things arrive, from prostitution to drug addiction to alcoholism. All of the things we have already seen in other places across the country. The most tangible evidence of this situation took place